I'm hoping. Here we go. Dave here, how are you? Today is Australia Day. It's the 26th of January 2020. Australia Day, the day where families get together, we commemorate the landing of the white people in Australia, and here we all are now, living happily together in harmony with many, many different races, and the Indigenous people as well. Okay, so today on the show, this is so much. I'm going to try and get through it all. If I don't, well, I'm going to just keep on going probably until I finish. Let me read out what we've got. Fit a miter slot to a trim router table. Yes. I forgot where I was for a second. This is my little multi-function trim table, and also the same area I throw the Craig Foreman in the same area this drops into. Now I'm going to put a miter slot in here because my trim router, I've realized, is very, very handy to set up on its own away from the router table. Now if people also may have a trim router and have a bit of wood that they've stuck it onto, well, here's a way for you to be able to use that spline jig, the rockless spline jig, box spline jig that I used last week, creating these splines on these boxes. How much fun was that? I also have the winner at the end of the show, and or maybe middle of the show, I don't know. So hang around for that. Cut and fit the internal sleeves for this box. So I have some of these already made up. I'm going to slice these down the center, plane them flat, because at the moment that's a lip. And something interesting there. Easy way to felt the base. We'll start off with that. I have an insert that we're going to put some felt on and drop it into the box. These sleeves are going to drop down onto it. You probably know how to do it already, but I'm going to go through it anyway. Handy tip for changing paper on the disc sander. Now you may not know this trick, but I can change this without taking this table off, and you may be amazed. It's a tip that I picked up from the Australian Woodsmith magazine. And talking of which, we will have the editor of the Australian Woodsmith magazine coming onto the show in about a month or so. So look out for that, because he's a very, very clever fellow. We're going to do some box work. I told him hold off, not quite yet. We've done boxes almost to death at the moment. The winner of the rockless spline jig, Ian Kerry, will be back next week as well. So the show is full of guests to go through some interesting chainsaw sharpening tips, and basically whatever he wants to talk about. He's a very, very smart fellow, and I always stop and shut up when he's talking. Unless he says something silly and I have to pull him up on it, of course. Support the channel through Patreon and the Amazon links below, and I have also become a MagTool affiliate. Now you might turn around and say, well, that's great, Dave. Fantastic. It may be beneficial for you if you're in the States and also in the UK and surrounding areas. I think transport to Australia may be a little bit cost restrictive, but have a look. I'll leave a link down the bottom there, and there's some really interesting things that have come out with MagSwitch that I was not aware of. So jump in. Now I hope everyone's had a good week, and let's get into it because I'm starting to waste time. I need to get this stuff done. All right, first thing we're going to do is put the felt on the ply. Now, I have got these, my cutting mat here on purpose for this very thing. I'm going to use my marking knife, okay? And here's the felt. I'm going to use burgundy felt, and it's going to go in the bottom of the box. I'll bring that camera here so that you can see closer up as to what's happening. I did have it set up at the router table, but I think I'll put it here for the moment. Switch cameras. There we go. All right. it's going to be very easy. It doesn't have to be cut too accurate. The reason being, these sides are going to sit down on top of it. This is like a little skirting board, or in the States you'd call it a baseboard. I've already cut this so it'll fit in there nicely. See that? Just drops in and hopefully it'll come out. There it goes. And it's very, very easy. Drop it on the top. And I'm going to try and do this so you can watch. Follow it down the side. And another one. Beautiful. And then down this side, maybe so you can see. There. I also need to be able to see. There, done. All right, so that's cut. And I'm going to lift this up because that's too low. That's a bit easier. It's the same when you put this paper on, or this self-adhesive is the same when you're putting Laminex or Formica on a benchtop. Try and do it so that the sticky isn't all revealed at once, because that's a pain. So I peel it off like so and fold the backing paper over, and then I'm going to line it up so it's good on the sides as well, and then just slowly do that. Now, as I said, those little bits there that you can see are not an issue at all. Right, so that was pretty pretty easy, wasn't it? I'm going to switch the cameras again. And so you can see this is going to go in here, down the bottom. It's going to make it a very, very exclusive looking box for my grandson. I'm going to move this other camera down to the router table because we're going to do some more things. Now, I've already worked on the top of the box. Notice I put a chamfer here and on the corners, and also I put a chamfer here so that it's when the box is closed, I need to move it around the right way. Whoop, going everywhere. When the box is closed, you'll see a shadow line from the chamfers. So I'm going to do that on both. Move the camera down to here, down to the router table. Now this part we're going to have a little bit of noise. That's just the way that it's going to happen. We're going to do this one. Let's have a look at the other camera. And that's terrible, David. Tip it up to about there. That'll be fine. A little bit higher, then you can see the Turner planes down the end. I love those planes. That's one thing that Ian has left a legacy with me and with a lot of people, I'm sure, around the world. Those planes are absolutely glorious. All right, I'm going to switch her over. Look for my earmuffs, my eye muffs. First, I should say eye muffs. Pop them on. I've got the router set up, so we should be able to hook straight in. We're doing well for time. There we go. The remote for the dust extractor I will turn on. And don't forget to bring this down, David. Good. That's not pulling yet. I'll open up that blast gate. There we go. That's better. All right. So you can see on this one, I've put the chamfer on there and on there and on the corners. And I like it. I like it. I've got the special little hood here to stop dust flying all over the place. Now some of my corners are real dodgy, so I'm going to run it down there as well. That's tidied them up. Don't look at that one too much, that's a stinker. But all the rest are good. So there you go, there's my shadow. And all of a sudden, a box that looked a little bit kind of, how's you going, looks pretty damn fine. Cool. Turn that off. Come back to me on the other camera. There. I love this stuff. Yeah, so that's looking quite nice. And it's an area, you know, it's an indicator as to where you lift. Love it. Okay, what's the next thing I've got to do? I made a sub list. Okay. Round table there, plane the edges on the inserts. Okay, we'll do that next. Move a few things out of the way. Move this. Oh, I can put that in there now. Let's have a look. Which end? That one will do. See that? That is a whole lot neater than trying to glue this stuff into the bottom of the actual box. This covers everything. It's just really, really nice. Very, very nice indeed. Okay, put that to the side. That's one I prepared earlier. Now I haven't done the chamfer on the inside because the inserts are going to go down there and I don't want to step down and then come back because it's just going to collect dust. So that needs to be a sharp edge. Move this onto the floor over here. That cutting board, I try not to lean it against something because it starts to bend and it gets a mind of its own and it tends to stay that way, which is no good. Okay, felt out of the way. What I have here is I've got this very, very low profile stop that I use. Now, ordinarily I would have used one of John's yellow box shed style stops, but they're a little bit high. They're a bit thicker than this material. So I've grabbed these. And I'm also having it so that this is sitting on the grip as well. I'll bring that camera around to that side. Oop, moving things all over the place here. I have machines set up everywhere so that all I have to do is just go from one to the next. Well, that's the plan. Let's see, using the other mouse, other camera. Yep, that looks pretty good. Lovely. All right, now I'm using the low angle jack for this. I sharpened it up yesterday so it is really, really nice. There's a little bit just there I can feel. It's just a little high there. Bring it over to there. That's the kind of thing that the kind of shaving that's coming off. It's beautiful. Still a little bit high. Lovely. Now, I've also picked up a little bit of the box there as well, but that's fine because that is super smooth. That's great that way. And that one I've already got sorted. This one, I've done one side. I have to do the other. You can see the lip. You watch how it does it so well. Very, very happy with it. I might jump in with a little low angle block and see if I can be a little bit more aggressive. with the first few passes. That's good. And the other side. These are both planes from Axminster. They sent them over to me a while ago and they are very nice. The only downside with this one is there's no lateral adjustment lever. That's the only thing. The rest of it is just beautiful. That's Axminster Tools, I meant. I don't know if I told you the full name of the mob that gave it to me. Oh. Now the next thing we're going to do, I think, is run these over the bandsaw. Lovely. Beautiful. They come off just so nicely. All right, what's my next thing there? Plane the edges of the inserts, rip the inserts on the bandsaw, and then we've got to plane the cuts. Now the reason, I'll go back to this other camera for a second. The reason I'm doing them on the bandsaw is because it's going to remove less stock out of the center, and I don't want to lose too much width here, otherwise I'm not going to have the height up the side inside the box to catch the lid when someone puts the lid on it. The other thing is, because they are small pieces, I don't want to do it on the table saw because I'm not going to be able to get it all the way through without my hands being in the way. I did have a look at the sled. I was thinking about that, but I want them parallel and I haven't finished the ends off yet. So the bandsaw is the way that I'm going to go, and then I'll do a quick plane on it. So we'll move this camera over here to the bandsaw. Again, I have set the machine up so that we can see what's happening here. Lower that down into there. And I've got a 3/8 by 6 TPI, I think it is. Maybe it's a 4 TPI, but it's a it's not a horribly aggressive blade, but it's very, very universal. I use it, well, universal as in I use it a lot, and I can rip a fair few things quite neatly with it as well. All right, dust extraction, I will turn on again. And I need to open up the port down here. There we go. It may or may not be catching a lot, but it's not too bad. All right. Now, after we had James here last week, I really should throw on my dust mask, even though there's very little getting around. And what he was saying last week is the stuff you can't see. Change of sound of my voice now because the mask is on. It's the stuff that you can't see that's going to get you. All right. I'll do the wide one first. I've already put a mark where the center is going to be. I'm going to go very, very slowly so that there's no chance of drifting. Beautiful. And the other one. Remember, as I said, with a bandsaw, all of the force is straight down. There's nothing to throw anything back up and like with the table saw. So this is actually safer for me to do this there. Move the cameras again. When my mouse decides to work, back I am. And the dust extractor off. Okay, this can come off again. Yeah, maybe I've been doing it a little bit with the dust stuff, but yeah, what do you do? What do you do? Okay, now I've got these cut, and that's a really neat job. And these are going to be the top, and I'm going to put a half round on them. But the thing is, I want to make sure that they're nice and flat to start anyway. So I'm going to give them a quick touch with the block plane. 2. That one's done. Beautiful. This one. I'm going to give them all 2 runs. Lovely. Let's bring this over as well. Switch the camera. I should really get the 2 cameras running again. There we go. Like picture in picture. That's why I'm doing 2. Beautiful. And the last one. 2 of these. 1, 2. All right, now they should all be the same size or very close to it. Now they're not, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all in down towards the end there in one. And I'm going to use the low angle jack. How's that? It moved just a touch. We'll sort that out, put another clamp on at the back. I could and I will. If I've got one of John's double dogs here, there we go, this one. What I can do is I can put that there, like so, and then have all of these there. So they're the longer ones that would have rocked around. Get them all the same height, drop it down to there, bring this along. Come on. That's better. They all feel to be in line now. Good. Not a lot to do. Bit here. That's feeling pretty good. Excellent. Love it. All right, back to the other camera. They're all the same height now. Is that? Very, very nice. Okay. I love this stuff. What's the next thing? The plane though, so I'm going to put the router table over there, back again. This time I'm going to use the saddle, and I'm going to also change the cutter. I'm going to put a semicircular cutter, so basically it's 2 round overs in one hit. Second camera, and there we go. Bring it over, and I'm going to take this out. That disables it. Open this up, release the... This is why it's handy to have a second a trim router table, because for little things like this, you switch them out. you have them already done. If you're going to do a run of something, rather than taking things out of your router table, putting things back into your router table, I'm going to use the 1/4 inch collet. Anytime you change a collet, see that? That is dust that could have been between all those little clamping points, and hence make it very dangerous if you were going to be clamping up the cutter. This locks when it goes in. Sorry. When you raise this up to a certain height, the spindle locks. There's a little bar that goes in. That's one of the things about the Triton routers. Undo it, and also it's got a second grab. Gotcha. And these are a dedicated 1/2 inch collet and a dedicated 1/4 inch collet. I could have put an insert inside if I wanted to, but if I've already got this, why not? So this is a half cutter, a bullnose cutter, whatever you want to call it. It cuts a semicircle. I do need the fence to be able to support as I'm using, because there's no bearing to guide me. Okay, now the fence happens very quickly when I'm using the table saw fence and also the saddle that I made for it. It hops on, push it back a little bit, and it locks on, quickly turn around, with mag switches. I'll pull it back down this way a little bit, make sure they're off. That's about the center. That's locked, can't go anywhere. Hose in the back. I've made this years ago. Open these up a little bit so that I can see where I'm going. Lower the cutter down. Put an insert in. Unlock it. Bring that up slightly. Until we're at correct height. That's looking pretty good there. I can lock it. It's got a little locking key down there. I have to now turn the router on. Back here, back to where it's happening. I have to turn the router back on the machine down here because it's all operated by this external switch over here. Bring this back, and we need to rotate that to top dead center, like so. Bring these in, the reason being those are short pieces. I'm going to be using a gripper to do it, but even so, I don't want any chance of it getting caught around the gateway here in the fence. Tighten all these back up and bring this back to about there. And that, my friend, is looking pretty good. I could run a little bit of 1/4 just to test, and I will. This is the same thickness. This is a scrap from it, so I will run this through to make sure that it's the right size. Now it's just a little high, but I think it'll be okay. I need my high muffs again. Tip this up a little more. Actually, you can come in nice and close on this one. And down. There we go. This guy here is the thing that isolates the cutter. I'm going to hold it not up against there. I'm going to hold it back. And I should be good for passing there. Here we go. Now it's lucky I did that because for two things. It's not deep enough, and also I'm not this way enough either. Go back 1 mil and lower. And down. That looks good. Hence a test with a bit of scrap. Always good idea. Going to go through the same spot. Holding. That was possibly a little bit too far out. Going to go again. Yes, it's too far out. Come back that millimetre. Try it again. Beautiful. Still that, just a touch. I have the fence calibrated there so I can see what's happening. Come on. The cord underneath there for a second. We'll try it that way round again here. It just wasn't getting there. There. It's going to do me. I don't care if it's right or wrong. I'm going to go with it. That's pretty good. Okay, all my pieces. Here we go. Now you can see when they go together, they're going to be nice. Now I've got to get rid of these, undo the fitting. Back here. All right, so I need to put the camera here in a second. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to set my Incra using the miter set. Now, my table is pretty good on there, but I have to make sure, because my fence, and I'm using a sacrificial fence on the end here on purpose, that I can actually push up to the sandpaper and actually touch it. So I have to make sure, because this fence is timber, it may be out in comparison to what this is telling me. So to do that, I use this thing. This is called miter set, and at the moment I've got it set up for a 4-sided box. I have done a video with this thing. It takes you all the way up to a 20-sided box. Wood turners absolutely love this thing because you can set up segmented stuff and just go crazy. It'll do all of them except for a 19 side. So see that? It's pretty amazing. So how I do this is I drop it in here, and some people have said that the Incras, they won't work with the Incras. Well, they will. The thing is, I use this like that. I'm going to get the other camera because this is important. Swing this one around to there. Change the mouse. Again. And transition. All right. I'll get up a little bit closer so you can see what's happening. This is a block, so all sorts of different angles. How many sides in the box you want, this will do it. The Incra has these little things here. These are expanding nylon things that make it sit in the miter slot really well, because that's just a standard miter slot down the middle. Now there is one there and one there that you can't see, but those screw holes indicate where there's one of these expanding clamps or expanding spacers. Now if I didn't use my spacer, this thing, what would happen is it goes out past the end and it's not getting a purchase on either side. So I bring it back a little, I drop the aluminium spacer in that they supply you for all the different angles, and then I just push it up to it. And then when I'm there, I lock it, and then I close it off. And now that is 45 degrees, all there is to it. And I take it over to here. But before we do that, I've got that trick that I was going to show you, haven't I? Yes. How to change the sandpaper on this without taking the table off. Again, this is something from Australian Woodsmith. This little tip, and it's fantastic. So here we go. See this? That's a piece of paper. And I've cut that to a semicircle. You're already ahead of me, aren't you? What we do is we peel this back down to there. We slide that in there, down a little bit further, if we can. Close that up and then rotate. Oh, peel some more paper off and pull him back down a little. Rotate a bit more. You know what? If something's going to go wrong, it will. So we're going to do it again. Pull all that back. I had it going out that side too far. There, let's hope that works. To there, peel off. Gotcha. Then we take this and undo it. And it's out. That is quicker. Don't worry about that being a bit mangled. Okay, I'm going to put the coarser paper in that I had in there before. And so, to do that, I'll put that up there for the moment. It's got to go down this way. Like that. Then I can slide this until it's the right height and the right width. I need to move it across a little bit to there, like so. Rotate it and then Out it comes. I love it. Here we go. Beautiful. Lovely. A little bit, but that's okay. There's enough room for that to stay in okay. That's not a problem. All right. In with the jig. Now I've brought it all the way up, so it's very close in there. So you can see what's going to happen. Very slowly, I'm going to feed these in and take off that last little bit until I've got a nice corner. Then I'm going to turn it upside down and do the same. So I'm going to do the sides first and then we'll do the ends. Put the dust mask on and turn the extractor on. Make sure I've got this one fired up. Close this gate. If you had a little bit more paper, I just used an A4 sheet and I cut it to a semicircle, and it worked well. It worked well. All right, turn it on. That's sucking well from there. And this on. Done. Yeah. And this one. Looking good. I'll do the other long one. And the side. There's nothing on that. There's my miter. And the other way up, take the tip off. A little more. On the other one. I'll switch the cameras back. Isn't that a quick way of doing the inside sleeves? Just, I love it. All right, now I've got to check that it's going to be right. So I may go back and do a little testing with that machine behind me, the disc sander, but I'm going to do this. This might be easier for you to follow along and see how we go. All right, now let's see how they go, if they're going to be too tight. Still a little tight. I need to do a little fitting. Oh, it's not bad though. It's only just. Yep, just. What's this one like? This one might be good there. No, that needs a fair bit off. And there. What about this end? It might be good there. Oh, that fits perfect. I'm not going to do anything. That's lovely. What do you think of that? How nice is that? Now I need to fit this end, so I've got to take a bit off. I'll go back to the other camera. This is the part where all of your preparation just falls into place and you say, wow, how nice is that? I'm not going to switch the other camera. I'll have them back to you for a second. Pull my tummy in, all that kind of stuff. Turn that on. I've got about 2.5 millimeters I've got to take off. Nearly. Much more. I love it. Turn it off. And that. I might need new batteries in that remote. Well, that is fitted. That is so good. Look at it. How nice is that? And the inside is such a contrast. And also the inside is sanded down to 4000. What I might do is I might hit that with some wax. But what I wanted was that walnut down the bottom to act as a little baseboard or a skirting board inside the box. That's so nice. Let's see if the lid fits. I don't even know if I'm going to have to glue it. There. Holds beautifully. Look at that. And take it off. That is such a nice fit. I'll tell you what. What else did I have? I was going to wax it, but I don't know if I really need to because we're going to run out of time. But I will wax that another day. Oh, geez, it's tempting. It is tempting. What I might do, put a bit of wax on one side. I'm going to do that because I want to see how the walnut and the splines come up. I know how the rest of the stuff comes up because I did a bit of a sample earlier. This is how the rock maple comes up with the wax on it. Just very nice. It doesn't yellow. Now I've said that, it is a blonde timber. But anyway, I forgot that stuff and I forgot to bring the wax down. Now I use the Triple E and I also use the neutral wax, but I'm going to hit it with the Triple E to start because that gives that really nice polish. It's in a wax carrier. That's how Triple E works. It'd be really nice to have a bit of rag here that doesn't have any stuff on it from other things. Yeah, here we go. So rub it. I think that's going to be lovely. And inside, remember what it looked like inside? Do you like that? It's so rewarding. All right, that's going to do for the box. If you like this stuff, my granddaughter's been watching. She's been watching more YouTube's videos of me because Granddad's boring, obviously. But she even tapes herself, records herself with her mum's phone. Don't forget to click the like, subscribe. See you next time. She's such a cutie. I'm going to film her doing it. I'm going to throw it on the end of the shows. It's going to be so nice. Anyway, there you go. Isn't that beautiful? This chopping board, Aldi, $6. And I've got more over there. See this smile? Let's put the lid on. See, continual grain, right the way around. The grain's the same all the way around. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Nick Ferry, for showing me how to do that. All right. What's the next thing? We're going to put that in there, move this down. I've already cut the piece of mitre slot ready. The next part, of course, which is the challenge, is actually doing it and see if it's going to work. Put the mitre set down over there, out of the way. That might be enough clearing. I've got drill presses already set up to do absolutely everything. How about we do that first? We'll hit the track with the drill press. Now remember, we got this slot. This is Veritas track. There's always a slot down the back and down the inside. That tells you the center of it. So remember, I punch from the back, so when I do the countersink on the inside, it gets rid of all those burrs. So we'll do that straight away. If I have a tape measure here, I've got everything ready except for the tape. There should be one here somewhere. Yep, always a tape. So in my situation, it is just under 14 inches, which is 338. So I'll come in the same distance as I have at that end, which is 27. This is all a little bit rough and ready. 27. And then half of 36 is 18. I'll put a mark in the center. And look, I think I'm going to go highly technically here and just kind of go kinder. I'm going to go 12, which is 120 in from that end, and 120 millimeters in from that end. That looks even enough to me. Center punch and the hammer. And remember, always put it over something that's going to give you continual connection all the way down to the ground. And my legs of the bench, of the Stanton bench, are right here. So that's where I'm going to punch it. And over there as well. You notice I was holding the hammer here. When I did my apprenticeship, my foreman would have said to me, the boss, "What's that? Can you hear that screaming?" And I like a 16-year-old kid, I said, no, what are you talking about? I'm sure I can hear screaming. And he says, "There it is. You're choking that hammer to death. Hold it by the handle down here." Funny guy. He thought he was anyway. Maybe he's one of the reasons why I am like I am. I don't know. I was thinking, what the hell are you on about, you idiot? All right, down here, and hopefully everything is going to work there as well. Switch the cameras again to the drill press, which is waiting for me over here. All right, it's the little Bosch that I haven't been overly impressed with big stuff, but on small stuff it's fine. All right, I'm off because I'm good. All right. Done. Over to this one here for the countersink. I think that's all good. So we have these burrs. See the burrs there? Now rather than try and sand those off, it's a whole lot easier just to get rid of them with the countersink. I've already set the depth. Done. Cool. Turn that off. Bring this back over here and go to the other camera again. Main camera, transition, glasses, all that stuff. So there we have 4 holes, 6mm each, with an 8mm drill to create the countersinks. Now we have to get the router, and we're going to use a trim router because, as I said, not everyone has an ordinary router, so I'm going to use my DeWalt trim router. And it's not going to go anywhere on this bench, but when I'm using because of the grip strip, it really isn't going to go anywhere. But I always, never tempt fate, David. Never tempt fate. What I will do is I'll put a dog or 2 in the back. What have we got here? As a second stop. There. Put a dog there and 1 there. Beautiful. Ah, do you want to know who won? Who won the Rockler spline jig, the router top spline jig? Well, if you're in Australia, you're in with a chance. Sorry, New Zealand. Didn't happen for you guys this week. And the rest of the world, as I say, it's a Carbotech thing, and they're a small company in Australia and New Zealand. That's not going anywhere. How nice is that? The rest of the world didn't get it. Every time I do an iMuffs competition, we might do one maybe next week, not this week, maybe the week after. And people all around the world win those. If I have that camera there, that might work well. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a mitre track or a mitre slot right there. Get the other camera and see if that's going to show it any better. Indeed it is. So right there. This is where my trim router lives, in this insert that I drop into the bench down the other end of the workshop. So I want to put that in there, and it's going to be kind of centered. Not scented as in smells nice, centered. And I'm going to use the DeWalt trimmer with it, and it has its router base as well. First thing I'm going to do is 0 to the depth of this. And how I do that is I release the plunge and make sure that I've got the turret turned around to the right position. Back that off. Okay, so this thing here is the turret. Now it's got multiple different heights. That looks like a turret on a castle. And this is the stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rest the router's base on here, plunge the router down till it touches, the cutter touches here. I am not plugged in. I never set anything on a router when it's plugged in. Always disconnect. All right, let's see if we're right. Push down on the router until it's touching. Now it's not quite touching. Why not? Nearly. So we need to relax that and push down. It's sitting quite nicely there. Okay, so that's the full depth of what I want to go, which is the depth of that cutter. See, the carbide blade is just in line with the top. Now once I've got it there, then I can rotate. I can slide this down until it touches and then lock it. Okay? Now what I'm going to, so that's the bottom of my travel. Now I'm going to release this because I don't want to go all of that depth in one pass, and turn it sideways so you might be able to see. When I release that, I can bring it back up. So I'm going to do a plunge of about half the depth. So I'll be tracking right across there, and I'm going to use the guide, and I'm going to put it in this side because I want the the hose from the dust extractor to be on this side. I need to come across a bit further. Which side have I got clamped? That one. I think about there. That's good. I could have used a straight edge, but I'm going to use the fence. All right, move that, and that. And now I can plug the router in, making sure that it is off. These do not have a no volt release switch on them, which means that they are turned on. Well, as soon as you plug it in, it's turned on or it's turned off, one or the other. If the switch is on, when you plug it in, the machine will start. Very dangerous with the router. Now the hose, and I have told people before what I've done with my hose on this. I've cut the outside. This is a standard DeWalt fitting. I've cut the outside of their fitting off, so it's only the inside. And the DeWalt hose, sorry, the Festool hose slides over beautifully in that situation. It may fall off. You never can tell. I'm on automatic there, so it'll start lovely. Turn, put the eye muffs on. And I'm going to test that it'll work. Yep. Dust extraction's working fine. Here we go. Off. Now, even though I said dust extraction is working fine, it was shooting it out all over the place, it's because I was doing a slot. And it's very hard for these things to actually pull up from doing a slot. I'm going to take it down to full depth and I'm going to move it across slowly because this is wider than... Okay, so I've slid it down so it's touching the turret. And I've got the full depth exposed. Then we're going to move it over a little bit. Turn it back on. Bit of dust there, isn't there? Checking I've got the right depth, and I do. It's very, very good. All right, pencil. Going to check the width. Take these off so I can see what's going on. Just to the inside of that. Now that... I'm not going to change the depth because I don't need to. What I'm going to do now is bring it across down here, power unplugged, release these two clamps on the fence, and then slowly bring it across, nip that up. And now, because I've unplugged it, I can rotate the cutter and have a look. That's looking pretty good. If it was hanging out over the edge, I'd have a little bit more that I could see, but I'm going to put it down at the other end. I think I'm going to back it off a little bit. I'd rather go a little bit less than a little bit more. There. Okay, I'm going to plug it back in again. And I'm going to put the dust mask on.
Otherwise, people will talk about me. I'm off. Turn her on. Very close. Go a little bit deeper. That's good. It'll leave us for 1/8 to finish. There you go. I'm just sneaking it. What do you think? Give me a second. There's another thing they've got, which is this. And I really should be using it, I guess. But I've never used it before in my life. So I will just continue on and sneak it one more. Put the dust hose on again. Here we go. Last little bit. Put him down over there. That's done.
Oop. Move this around. Go to the other camera. Yep, there's probably a whole lot better way of fine-tuning that slot, but it's come up just perfect. Like, I'm tinny, aren't I? It worked. It really did. Let's have a look. So you can see that's in there now, so that will take all the jigs, and we've got a couple, I've gone over, but I'm going to quickly drill the hole and put the screws in. Again, I use the Euro screws. I use a 4mm drill for these things. Turn it up to flat out. That's better. Done. Take that out, put the driver in. All right, okay. Who won? Who won? Well, you're someone that's won something before, my friend. You've won something before from me. Not a big item, but you have won something from me before. And when Rafflecopter selected your name, I thought that's wonderful. So if you live in Western Australia and your name is Brett and your surname is Guthrie, you're the winner, buddy. I shall get all that sorted out and try and get it off to you as quickly as possible from Carbotech. They may send it from their Perth store. It would probably be the best for them, but we'll see. I'll get it out the door as quickly as I can. Oh, how nice is this? Come on, straighten up. Beautiful. There we go. Mitre slot, all fitted, and now I'm going to throw it in too so you can see it. Let's see if I can get this camera down there. Put that there. Turn the other camera on. This show has gone over. I don't care. I don't care. It's fun. Switch it down to there, and we'll go down. You can have a look. Sneak around this side of the camera. So as I said, it's got these dowels on the side here that drop into that point, so it locks it in position. That's my mitre slot. This holds my trim router in position. So now I can put the spline jig in there and it will fit on this particular one. It's got to be this wide. If it gets too narrow, it's not going to fit, but this works perfectly. The dimensions are on the box as to what distance from the center of the cutter to there that it will work, and that's brilliant. Very happy with that. Very, very happy. Again, it was one of those jobs I wanted to do, but I hadn't really got there. And we'll switch back to this camera here. It's been fun. How nice is that? I'm hoping that you've picked up a couple of tips, even if my tips haven't been the best. But, you know, they work. Look, how nice is that? Johnny's going to love this. Such a beautiful little box. Now, I had someone make comment last week in the comments below, and please throw comments down below as well as to what you thought of the show and, you know, whether I should have done something better, or like this gentleman put a comment and said, Dave, too many splines in the end, should only have 3. Now, I beg to differ, you know, I think it's a personal choice, whatever you want to do. He said, well, let's see what a professional would say. I had a bit of a giggle when he said that. Anyway, well, good on you. Bring on the professionals and let them make comment. I'll throw myself at their mercy. But I think that looks nice. I wanted to have 2 up the top, obviously, to hold the box at the top nice and tight. So I replicated that down the bottom, and I wanted 1 near the top to keep the top of the joint together when the lid's off, if you didn't see it, and another one kind of in the middle. So I like it. I like it. Maybe I did it wrong. I don't know. I have to read through my sheet and see where we're at. Okay. Fit a mitre slot to the trim router table. That was the last thing we did, and you know, I did a bit of guessometric right at the end, but it worked well. I'm going to research that other guide, so for just fine tuning, because I'm sure that's how it works. I never really learned how to do that bit. Cut and fit the internal sleeves to the box. Easy way to felt the base. Handy tip for changing paper on the disc sander, and after a while, it played ball with me. Winner of the Rockless Spine Jig, which has already been done. Congratulations, Brett. Ian, Kerry back next week, so don't miss next week. Pardon me. Going to go through the chainsaw sharpening tips. Support the channel through Patreon and the Amazon links below. I will read out the people's names who support me. This is a particular level. If you can help out, that'd be great as well. You know, this takes a long time to set up so it runs smoothly, kinda. Johannes, Mohr, John W, John Parra, Vincent, Ngian, John Lafferty, Peter Woolworth, Brian Shaw, Brian Del Vecchio, Justin Bailey, Brett Guthrie, and Andrew T. Thank you very, very much to everyone who supports me on Patreon. I think that's the lot. Winner of the Rocklet, yes, what's happening in your shed. I want to see what's happening in your shed. Send me some photos. I know some people have just recently, and I'll try and get all that sorted out. Today, Australia Day, I've got to go and have fun with the family in the garden. We're going to cook sausages, you know, run around, be idiots, and hopefully my wife won't find me asleep in the bottom of the shower at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Like last Australia Day. Okay, thanks again for watching, and I'll slide it down to here, and there we go. Look after yourselves, be nice to each other, and I shall see you next week.